welcome to Faith on the Water. Your host, the Riverdog Evangelist. My other platform that I kind of established a year or so ago is called Riverdog Adventures. And so that's a kind of a side platform, side segment. And I floated the rivers all over Ohio. Like I said, I'm worked for Department of Natural Resources for 30 years, dredge operator or statewide dredge supervisor for a number of years. So I've been on most all of the rivers and lakes in Ohio at one time or another. And seen a lot of stuff, a lot of sights. So my intent is to revisit those areas with my Riverdog Adventures. So let's say, for example, you are pick a river, Little Miami River, over in Greene County area, Dayton, Springfield area. You have a group and you want a guided tour. I've been on that river. There are a number of liveries over there. I could accommodate. What I hope to do once I really get established with my Faith on the Water Riverdog Adventures is that I hope to take one day a week and travel and go to a livery. And I've dealt with the liveries again all over Ohio in different places, big and small, and do what I want to call a Riverdog Ranger livery review. So, for example, I'll go over to pick any livery, and I'll go pay the fee to get transported from here to there. I'd like to take my own rig. I'd like to. This monstrosity is so heavy. But I want to use it as a podcast platform, and it works great. Sit on top works great. My focus will be hard to be in two places at once, of course. My focus will be on the Muskingum River with my Lock 10 history tour and my Faith on the Water. And this is the route that I want to use for both. I will be, of course, partnering with Float the River out of Cleveland, and they have an amazing business platform up on the Cuyahoga River. So when I talked with TJ, and he said, well, we hope to duplicate it down here. And I said, okay. I said, I'm here to help you. And so hopefully he will establish himself up on the Licking River. And I hope to be able to do guided tours up there, specific guided tours through Black Hand Gorge, put in at 668 and paddle through the gorge down to Toboso. And you can go to some of my other podcasts, 2 or 3, somewhere around there, and kind of see what the river looks like. Float the River will just be putting people in, but since I know the history of the river, I used to be the manager at Black Hand Gorge State Nature Preserve. So this bridge that we're going under right here spins. So they've got it balanced just right. I think I did see it turned years ago. So my main territory will be on the river here, and then also up on the Licking River. I'll continue to do my podcasts, Faith on the Water podcast, this fall, even into the winter. Everyone says the same thing. Well, what are you going to do this winter? It's a paddle. I have the equipment to do so, and I've paddled in the snow before, so I'll do that. Can't wait to do that. Matter of fact, I have a dry suit that was gifted to me. Well, I want to go ahead and go around that since it's here. Boy, that's tight. Water get down any lower, pontoon boat would have a hard time skirting around the barge. I want to go ahead and go up. Let's see if their workboat has any water in it. Part of our job, always bailing water out of boats. No, if it's dry. Yeah, boy, that's only 2 feet deep right there. I don't know why. They must have been, they were digging up here and cleaning up here is what they were doing. And so I used to work on one of those, only instead of a big old 50-foot reach excavator. Had a Northwest clamshell crane, cable crane. That's much more efficient, easier to run. More efficient, much flexible. They basically dig out, dump their debris in that big old dumpster there. And then what they have to do is dip it out. See their dump truck up there. They would park their dump truck, back their dump truck up as close as they could, and then they'd put their mud in that dump truck, and then that dump truck would have to go haul it off. What we did is it was illegal at the time, but we didn't know. Back in the 70s and early 80s, we'd just come along and dig, and then we would side cast. We'd dump it off to the side. And we didn't know that at the time that was frowned upon. Someone knew, just didn't tell us. So that's completely illegal. Now, due to the mollusks that are in the river that could get covered over with sediment by our disturbing the bottom. So for my Lock 10 history tour, this is the route that we take. We'll go up, go underneath the Y Bridge. I didn't do it. And kind of rally up. I rally my group up underneath each bridge if I have someone ahead of me. And I always get people who they don't stay with me. I have them strung out. 6 or 7 up there and 4 or 5 back there, or 9 or 10. Maybe some of them will stay close by me, but they get strung out pretty easily in this. So I'll give them. I'll say, hey, when you get up to the bridge, stop, or I'll yell ahead. hold up if you can at the bridge. That way we can kind of start over again. People have different abilities in their paddling experience, and that's completely understandable. So I want to accommodate them. My content manager, who takes care of my Faith on the Water platform, Dennis McClung, he relocated somewhere. So he and I become friends last year, and so he takes care of all of my content. Grace Path is the name of his faith-based ministry. He manages a number of different podcast platforms for different people, different subjects. And so when I came to him and pitched the idea of Faith on the Water, I had originally gone in a little bit of a different direction. My goal was to just give tours, water-based tours, and that really didn't pan out as aggressively as I wanted to. So I thought, okay, how am I going to pivot? And isn't life full of pivots? Yes, it is. So then I've been watching faith-based podcasts for the last couple of years. And so I'm watching all of these faith-based people, whether it be a church, whether it be a single individual, and kick on, they have a title, they're trying to hook you in on some kind of subject matter. And so I listen to a lot of them, have listened to a lot of them, will continue to listen to a lot of them. And so I'm listening to them, and I, 40 years in the ministry, I've got a lot of sermons in my head. So I've been all over the place from Genesis to Revelation, preaching on all kinds of subject matter, trying to relate it to us in the here and now. And so that, with that thought, I thought, well, wonder if I could do a podcast and paddle down the river, preach a sermon. Nah, stupid idea. I've never seen it done. So I wonder if that would work. In my travels all over the state of Ohio, and I mentioned this the other day, I would be on a rim trail of a preserve. I would be looking at a waterfall. I would be maneuvering a certain area. I maybe had to cut a tree that was blocking the trail. And invariably, I always look at it and say, man, that'd be a great place to do a devotion for a youth group or whatever. And I saw them all over the place. Those kind of situations. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do. So I went to Dennis. I said, Dennis, I got, you manage podcasts, and can you help me with a podcast? And he said, sure. What's your thoughts? When I found out he was managing podcasts and had the skill set to do it, I said, what's your idea? I go, well, this may sound stupid, but I want to paddle down the river and preach a sermon. He's looking at me and kind of nods his head. And he said, well, you do have biblical precedent. I go, I do? Well, yeah, Jesus, along the Sea of Galilee, because of the crowd pressing on him, he borrowed a boat, put out in the water, and probably 10 to 15 feet out into the water, I'm guessing, just far enough to give himself a little bit of breathing space so people wouldn't be on top of him, and then he was able to address the crowd. And we can only wonder what message he gave all it says was that he, from that boat, that borrowed boat, he preached a sermon. Uh, so yeah, there is biblical precedent. So then I said, well, I want to call it faith on the water. And again, I already had that in my head from a year or so before. He said that, yeah, I think that'll work. He said, let me do some, and I talked a little bit more about what I want to do. And again, I'm spitballing. I'm just trying to figure out. There's no other example that I knew of that I could go to kind of find out if it was a good idea or a stupid idea, or whatever. So Dennis said, "Let me go do some research." So I said, "Okay, well." We went separate ways, and a couple weeks later, I reach out to him and say, "Hey, you want to have breakfast or dinner?" Yeah. So we come together, and I said, "What do you think?" He says, "It'll work." I go, "Okay, you think it will?" So he's been. I said, "Why do you think it'll work?" He says, "Well, it just will." And he just greatly encouraged me, and directed me, and advised me and what I need to do as far as equipment, thinking and kind of mulling over. He said, I searched high and low, and I really couldn't find anybody who's done anything like this. I go, okay, well, like you said before, Jesus did. Yes, he did. The ministry of Jesus took place around the Sea of Galilee and along the Jordan River. So water was part of he was baptized in the Jordan River by John the Baptist. Other people were getting baptized in the Jordan River by John the Baptist. So water is a part of the faith-based platform. Anyway, that's how it was established 2,000 years ago. And so he said, no, it'll work. So he's encouraged me. And what I do is I do this, and then I hand him the little micro SD card. He takes it, downloads it, dresses it up, edits around it, and then at a particular time, he posts it on I think Friday or Saturday. I haven't had any posts for the last month due to the fact that I've had to deal with technical difficulties with this stuff, and I think I've got it figured out. But in my Faith on the Water, I will also do hiking trails, and I've done a couple of them in the last week or so. I recorded them; they'll get downloaded, eventually become part of the podcast platform. So I want to do trails, waterfalls, seen them all. I want to transition now to Faith on the Water. So most of the other. Now, when I do the Loch 10 History Tour, 90% of it will be history, local, cultural, area. I mean, I can talk about what is some of the other attractions that are out there. The Underground Railroads, we have the Lorena, we have the Wilds. So in my Loch 10 History Tour, I'll address all of that and have information where they can go and go there from here. Matter of fact, did a tour had people a couple years ago, a year ago, and talking to them, and this lady was a game creator. I go, oh, that's crazy. So she's telling me what she does, works from home, and creates games, video games. Of course, me being a smart, I said, you mean like Pong? She laughed. And if you get that, if you chuckle, then you just aged yourself. And now her creation is a lot more complicated than that. And I said, okay, well, okay. I said, what, where are you from? She told me where she's from. Okay. Says, I'm actually heading to the wilds for a tour. I go, well, I work at the wilds. I said, heaven's sakes, what time's your tour? She told me. I said, okay, well, we need to get you back. How far away is? I said, less than an hour. I mean, you're a good 45 minutes. When we land, I can look on my schedule fly thing and find out what time's your tour. And she told me. I said, I might be able to tell you who your tour guide might be, but that's kind of a guess. I can change in the afternoon. If she was there in the morning, I could have told her. But I said, well, if we're hurting on time, I can make a telephone call and help you out. Kind of guard your seat if you're late. She wasn't. We got her in her vehicle soon enough. Never did hear from her again. So with the Loch 10 history part of it, 95% of it will be history. Well, what's the other 5%? Well, me being who I am, I will sneak in wisely, sneak in a little bit of a spiritual footprint. Not too much. That's not what they're there for. They're there for the experience of a Loch 10 history tour. They're not there to hear a sermon or devotion or anything, and that's fine. So 95% of it, but I'll kind of talk a little bit about it. Maybe not. I just kind of feel them out, and I've done that. But my faith on the water, it'll be much different, of course. So it will be, I'm guessing around 80%. For example, we may stop right here underneath this bridge and gather everybody together because we all want to go in the loch at the same time. So I'd always stop people. So let's say I have a youth group. I say, everybody, stop at the bridge. We're underneath the bridge. I say, okay, folks, here's what we're going to do. And I give them the rundown. We're going to paddle, go through the lochs again. It will not be as turbulent. Then we're going to turn right. So I kind of plant in their mind what we're going to do. And I'll repeat that again. So I'll gather my 15 to 20 faith-based people or Loch 10 history tour. But if it's faith-based, any questions, someone may or may not. I'll say, hey, it's a good time. Good time. Do we have any prayer requests right now? Anybody? Any prayer requests that you have? Someone will bring up something. I'm dealing with this. Could you pray for them? My friend this just happened to them. Can you pray for them? And then once we get the ball rolling, and then we take in the prayer requests. Oh, okay, absolutely. God knows our hearts. He knows what we're saying before we even say it. He's omniscient. So with my faith base, my faith on the water, we'll gather there. And those guys left. And then we'll have a word of prayer. Either I will pray, or their minister, or someone else will pray. That's kind of how we'll do it. And with the faith-based, I want to encourage them to try to focus on God, focus on Jesus, the complexities of life. And if it's a young youth group, then they are living in a complex world. So that will be the that'll be the makeup of the Faith on the Water podcast. And I will also, just to give you heads up, I will record that. That will be a podcast, and then we'll kind of go from there. So that's heads up on that. Another thing that I want to address, jumping off on the Lock 10 History Tour. If you have a group and you want me to focus on specific stuff, a specific theme, for example, the Underground Railroad, there's a lot of history. There's places here in Zanesville that give guided tours. I could focus on that. If it's a scout group, you let me know. I can kind of do a little bit of research. What I'd eventually like to do, if there's any scout masters out there, what I'd eventually like to do is create and I've talked to other scout leaders about this, is to create a pin for this as part of their scouting experience. If it's a little league group, if it's whatever it is, I can work with you and accommodate you in regard to a specific theme, if needed, if it's necessary. Before we get in the locks, and I don't, and this is Faith on the Water stuff, I want to ask you a question. Do you have any hurts or heartaches? Any disappointments, any letdown, any trauma or grief that you are trying to deal with that's happened to you here recently, maybe in years past, and you're trying to process that, you're trying to think about that, you're hurting over it, you're obsessing over it. If you have any hurt or heartache or grief or letdown or disappointment, decisions that you have made, mistakes that you maybe have made, I just want to say this to you before you answer in a way of that question. I know that you more than likely do. We all do. That being said, right now, here, as we're in this water, as we're in the water, there is, hear me carefully, there is not a darn thing you can do about it. Nothing. You're stuck here. You're in a boat. You're paddling. You've got some good exercise. You've learned some things. We've prayed. We've discussed different things. Right now, here and now, there's nothing you can do about it. And what I would encourage you to do is to, and you can revisit that later. Right now, enjoy the moment. Enjoy the experience. Enjoy the communal experience that we have together. I'm going to do this. So he's somewhere. Dan is. He heard the noise, I'm sure, and will come. He might be over the edge. He might be over there weed eating. I don't hear the weed eater. Well, so much for that. He'll come popping out. I give him a time frame. So I want to give a shout out to Grace Path. Dennis and what he's doing. As we look at these gates and these doors, the the Bible uses doors. The word door is used several times in the Bible, and I'll communicate this in my faith on the water. A couple of scriptures. Lift up your heads, O gates, go figure, and be lifted up, O ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Psalm 24:7. Matthew 6:6 says, but when you pray, go into your room and shut the door and pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. 1 Corinthians 16:9 says, for a wide door for effective work has opened to me, that's the Apostle Paul, and there are many adversaries. Proverbs 8:34 says, blessed be the one who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting beside my doors. Hosea, and there I will give her vineyards and make the valley of Achor a door of hope. And there she shall answer as in the days of her youth, as at the time when she came out of the land of Egypt. Matthew 7, enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction. And those who enter by it are many, for the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few. 1 Corinthians 16:9 says, but I will stay in Ephesus until Pentecost, for a wide door for effective work has opened to me, and there are many adversaries. James 5:9, do not grumble against one another, brothers, so that you may not be judged. Behold, the judge is standing at the door. Isaiah 22:22 says, and I will place on his shoulder the key of the house of David. He shall open, and none shall shut, and he shall shut, and none shall open. Psalm 141:3 says, set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Genesis 4:7, if you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is contrary to you, but you must rule over it. At the same time, pray also for us that God may open to us a door for the word, to declare the mystery of Christ, on account of which I am in prison. 2 Corinthians 2:12 says, when I come to Troas to preach the gospel of Christ, even though a door was open for me in the Lord. 2 Chronicles 29:3 says, in the first year of his reign, in the first month, he opened the doors of the house of the Lord and repaired them. Acts 16:26 says, and suddenly there was a great earthquake, and so that the foundation of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were opened and everyone's bonds were unfastened. 2 Kings 4:4 says, then go in and shut the door behind yourself and your sons, and pour unto all these vessels, and when one is full, set it aside. John 10:7 says, so Jesus said unto them, truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. Revelation 3:8 says, I know your works. Behold, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. I know that you have but little power, and yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. And then the last verse is Revelation 3:20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in to him and eat with him, and he with me. So Revelation 3:20, think about it. Jesus, he's the one standing at the door and knocking. I stand at the door and knock. Good to go. So as you see the door opening up before us, 30-ton door, Dan's opening it. The analogy is quite obvious. There's a whole thought process that goes along with open doors. And as a Faith on the Water group, I will emphasize that and communicate just that. That doors are opened all the time. Jesus stands at the door and he knocks. It reminds me of a song. I'm trying to remember. Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan wrote the song, and a lot of his songs, a number of his songs have spiritual overtones. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. So he, being in the musical world, still is admitting, communicating the whole idea of spirituality. Gate just went down. Hold myself up. So with my Lock 10 History Tour, Faith on the Water, same route. So we'll get everybody in. Dan will go ahead and shut the gates. If he has another boat down below, he'll let me know. And so we and I've done this numerous times, have traffic going both ways. So we have people going downriver, people coming upriver. So and that's pretty neat when you do that. So if that's the case, then he'll give me instructions on what he wants my group to do versus what he wants them to do. He knows what we're capable of doing, and he also knows his boaters and what they're capable of doing. What Dan's doing now, as you can see right up above, he's opening the gate. So he's opening the drain. And you see the chain moving and the arms moving back. The guillotine gates right now are opening up. I have gloves on, so I'm just holding on, and we hand little ropes to people. And they hold on that way, hold themselves tight. We do not tie, of course. And you can see the water going down right now. This would be a good time in Faith on the Water because it's quiet for the next few minutes. I would say, hey, can anybody sing a song? And who knows, we have a singer in our midst. Maybe we have a couple young girls. And I will talk with the youth minister or the coordinator that I'm with when you schedule a group tour through Float the River. I'll exchange emails with your group leader. I'll ask a couple questions. He maybe will give them a heads up. Say, hey, you guys want to sing a song? And they, when we're in the chamber, and they'll look at me and say, I don't know. And once they get here, the acoustics are amazing here. And so we may have opportunity for the group to sing a song. And again, as I talk with them and the youth minister or the leader, and hopefully if I have a church group, a Faith on the Water church group, hopefully I would require that they bring 2 or 3 leaders. More than likely, it could be a group of like 30. And I would like to have a ratio of 1 to 10 would be ideal, which is quite common when groups when a faith group takes a group of young people out. You will sign all of the proper paperwork through Float the River. So all of that will be done online. My job will be coordinate with the group leader, answer some questions, make assurances, lay down some basic ground instructions, rules, whatever, uh, and then set a date. Ideally, I want to be putting in the water on a Saturday around 11 o'clock, ideally. That being said, I can also accommodate Sunday afternoon. We would put in the water Sunday afternoon at 1 or 2 o'clock. That is a possibility. Matter of fact, I'd like nothing better than to springtime after this podcast gets posted. And this is going to be in two parts, easily two parts, part one and part two. Ideally, I would love to be able to have a Faith on the Water float scheduled every Sunday at 2 o'clock, and they come here, go to a restaurant and eat if they're coming from a distance. If they're local within driving distance, what I would like to also communicate is, hey, some of your other members can come along and stand on the lock wall and watch us go through. So that is also a possibility. So let's say someone wants to come along, but they don't want to, they're not comfortable with getting in the kayak. They can walk over, across the bridge, walk down the canal. They can participate in Faith on the Water, but on the land, and see their kids or grandkids or husband or wife or friend or whatever going through the experience. This is not for everybody, of course. So that's another part. Each block is about 2 feet. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We've dropped 6 feet and dropping more. Water behind us, as you see, is 6 feet higher than where we are right now. So he's going to open the gate here in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and as you see up there, he's looking, he's watching, waiting for the water to. And I explained this in my Lock 10 history tour. I want to explain what he's doing and how it relates to what is happening down here. So he's watching and waiting, and it is a waiting game. We dropped almost 7 feet. He's going to open the valves a little bit more, letting a little bit more water go from here to there. And for the Lock 10 history tour, I'll be interacting with your guests. Faith on the Water, I'll be interacting as well. So right now, Dan is pushing on the gate or the handle. So we've dropped about 7 feet. You can see that as you see the wet on the side of the wall. People that I've led through about this time, or I asked them, hey, is this worth it? And to a person, they have said absolutely yes. And would you do it again? Yes. So what Dan is doing right now is Dan, the lockmaster, is opening the 30-ton gate, allowing the water to equalize. I stand at the door and knock. If any man answers, I come in, and I will eat with him, and he will eat with me. In other words, you will commune together. You will fellowship together. That's good, Dan. We're fine. Dan, I'll send you the podcast link when this gets loaded up on my podcast. You coming back next year? Oh man, I'm hoping to have a group. I'm dreaming every Saturday and Sunday. That's what I'm hoping. I know you do. He's letting the water in. The water's going to, he opened the valves up pretty good. And he knows I'm safe. He's putting most of the water away from me, as you see. So he's maintaining. So for Faith on the Water or Lock 10 History Tour, same song, different verse. We come in, we secure ourselves to the walls. I'm floating free right now. He's opening the valves right now, so he's opening the drain. And with that being said, that's why I'm wearing this. And that's why every participant will be geared up in a personal flotation device, because he's opening the bathtub drain. And if you would fall in, it's never happened, but in theory you could get sucked down into the valve. In theory, if you're wearing this, you're going to float. I will not be in this rig when I give tours next year. I have a canoe with outriggers that I'll be using. And again, another place where I can answer questions. We can talk about different things. See water coming out of the walls there. When they redid this, when they spent over $1 million redoing this a couple of years ago, they found that water was building up behind the walls, which is, makes sense. There's cement. Again, these were built in 1830s. The walls, the gates have been replaced time and again. As you look ahead right there, you're seeing that the valves are showing up. So I'm actually going to get up a little bit closer. My tour group will be secured to the wall during this entire time. So for the group, I'll just kind of go on and talk like I have them in here and say, hey folks, that gate's going to open up. And what I need you to do is, as soon as the gate opens up, you up there in the green, yeah, you're going to be the first one that goes out. Okay, you good with that? I'm good. Okay, good. You go out, turn right, hard right, and go around and go. We're going to go upriver, just as we came downriver. Everybody understand that? Okay, good. So you're with him, right? Okay, you two go together. And then what I need you to do is, as soon as you go out, cut sharp right. Gates opening right now, so you can everybody can release themselves from the cables. You can see we're right back where we were. Yep, just go right through. Right through. Yep, right around the wall. Cut sharp right. Perfect. Everybody follow him. Everybody got that? Good deal. Follow them. Dan, thanks, man. Oh, yeah. We'll see you. How late you work tonight? Okay. And you work tomorrow as well? Okay, good deal. I'll catch up with you. What I need, yep, keep coming out. Cut hard right, in between me and the wall. Good, good, good. Everybody keep coming out. Everybody good back there? Yep, you're good. Cut right. What do you think? It is a blast. It never gets old. Cut right. Yep, you guys keep going upstream. Paddle upstream. Do not cut across the river. Paddle upstream. We're in no hurry. We're going to paddle up until we are level with the island. You remember we cut straight from the island down to here. So now we're just going to paddle up. Depending on the water level and how much water is going by, if the water is about a foot higher and it's moving pretty good, we'll go all the way up till we're across from the island. And then what we'll do is we will cross over. Water's really low, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to head right toward the island. So depending upon the skill level of my group, depending upon the water, I may ask the leader who was ahead of us to go ahead and cut left. And then I'll instruct everybody else, do not cut left until you are up where he's at. What I've done before is I've had people go up there and just stop. And we all gather together because we're all strung out. 20 kayaks strung out. Doing a kayak tour, it can get strung out pretty good. You're looking straight ahead at the bridges. We were under those bridges a little while ago. So right now I'm paddling just fine, although the water is hitting my right side and kind of pushing me, and that's why I ask everybody to go all the way up and then come over. I'm good right now. This is not my first paddle, so this is going to take me right back to the ramp. This has been a Faith on the Water Riverdog Ranger, 2 hours or more of paddling up through Lock 10, the double Lock 10 hand operated locks. Father in heaven, I thank you that we have been able to be together, paddle together. I pray, dear Lord, that as you examine my heart and my intentions and my goals with Faith on the Water, that you will lead, guide, and direct me in the proper path, the proper course. And that being said, we pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.